performance record. And so, if we talk about transformational leadership, we can clearly assess everybody's track record on their what they have managed to achieve in whatever positions they have been. I have been I've been a member of parliament for Eldoret North. I can account for my time. I have been Minister for Agriculture. I can account for my space in agriculture. In higher education, I can account. As Deputy President, I can account. Everybody else should be held to account. And then number two, you spoke about a very pertinent issue, and that is corruption and theft of public or misuse of public funds. It is a big animal, and sometimes it is pushed around without clarity of what will happen. Our approach as Kenya Kwanza is that we must not personalize. We must not politicize corruption. We must deal with it from an institutional space so that everybody, including the president, is held to account. Our position is that the fight against corruption hasn't gone very far because it is directed by somebody from somewhere, and he or she determines who is corrupt and who should be followed. If you're not my friend, then you're corrupt. But if you are my family, you are not corrupt. Why haven't we gotten the KEMSA billionaires? Why? Because they are friends and they are family of the people who tell us they are in charge of corruption, of fighting corruption. Right? What we are saying is the following. Why, for example, while the Constitution says the judiciary fund should have 2.5% of our budget, why is the judiciary continuing to get 0.7, 0.8% of our budget? Why hasn't the judiciary fund been operationalized? It is because there are people who want to continue pulling strings around the judiciary. And that is why the judiciary lacks the capacity to deal with matters of accountability and corruption the way it should. Kenya Kwanza will deploy all the resources required by the Constitution and the law. If it is 2.5%, it will be 2.5%. And the judiciary fund will be operationalized so that we give the judiciary the capacity, human, technical, and every other capacity to deal with matters of accountability and matters of justice without reference to anybody. That's number one. We must stop the fight with the judiciary. I have said that it doesn't matter whoever is nominated by the Judicial Service Commission. They don't have to be my friends. I don't have to like them. If they have passed the interview and they are people who have gone through the process, they must be given the chance to serve in those offices. Like, for example, the 6 judges that have not been appointed. Why? I will appoint those judges day one and give everybody a chance to serve in their capacity. Are we together? Number 2, why does the DCI, EACC, and the IG, who is responsible for investigating matters corruption, why do they continue to rely on a budget from the office of the president? Why? The Constitution is very clear. The law is very clear. They need to have an independent budget. They need to have an independent accounting officer so that it doesn't matter who they want to investigate. Even if the president does not like the investigation must go on because they have operational, constitutional, and financial independence. We must take the fight against corruption a notch higher. How does the fight against corruption, for example, take in the president in South Korea? It's because the fight against corruption is run by institutions. If it was run by the president herself, would she have become would the corruption net have found her? Right? So that is where we want to take it. So that it doesn't matter whether it is family, whether it is my friend, whether it is my political ally, or whether it is the president himself. The institutions must be strong enough to deal with everybody. I don't know whether we get that right. That's going to be our, and we want to be held to account to that. Finally, of course you know, corruption thrives around patronage. And patronage is a benefactor of conflict of interest. And the whole of that space takes us to state capture. And that's where we are as a country. We have to deal with state capture. We have to deal with conflict of interest if we have to deal with corruption in Kenya. It just goes that far. Finally, I have made a commitment, a public commitment, and in writing, that we will achieve the 2/3 gender rule. I have made that commitment. Why do I say so with certainty? I say so with certainty because I have great women around me who will work with us to make sure that the mechanism is found for making sure that happens. And I undertook that that mechanism is going to be ready in 3 months. Boss Sholei is here. Yeah, so I have no doubt in my mind that working with